Hi guys, welcome to Bit, Nibble, Byte, where as always you don't have to learn all of coding at once, you can just take a bit, nibble, or byte. Today we're going to go over loops. I'm going to do for loops and while loops, how you can think of them logically, and their implementation, so stay tuned. Loops are a piece of code that is run repeatedly to facilitate code reuse. The code block is run while a condition is met, and a condition refers to a code statement that will evaluate to either true or false. So while the condition is true, the code will repeat, but once it's false, the program will exit the code block. On the right, I've provided a diagram that shows a visual representation of a loop. The start block refers to any kind of code that comes before the loop. You then check the condition, which is contained in the module loop here. This will evaluate to either true or false. If it evaluates to true, you continue in the loop and execute the code contained there. Once that code is executed, you check the condition one more time. You keep repeating this action as long as that condition is true. Once it's false, you then skip that code block and proceed to the rest of the code. Today I'll go over two types of loops, the for loop and the while loop. For now, you can differentiate them by thinking of a for loop as knowing the number of loops up front and the while loop as not knowing the number of loops up front. A for loop will happen for a specified amount of time, and a while loop will happen while a condition is true. I'll first start by showing you a Java implementation of a for loop. Here you can see how a for loop is implemented. There are three main statements that we're concerned with in the for loop. The first statement is the initialization. This is executed only once and before the loop. Here we set the integer I to equal 0. The next statement is the condition. This determines if the loop is even executed. We check if I is less than 10. If this is true, we continue in the loop. If this is false, we exit the loop. The final statement is the counter. This is executed after each loop is run. Here we increment I each time. So to review what we expect to happen, we will first set an integer I to 0. We'll then check if I as 0 is less than 10. Since this is true, we'll print out the statement, and then we'll continue to increment I to 1. We'll then continue again. Since 1 is still less than 10, we'll print out the statement and then increment I to 2. This continues until I is greater than or equal to 10. I'll now compile. Since there's no errors, I'll run it. You can see that the for loop printed the value of I from 0 all the way to 9. Once the next loop hit 10, it would no longer be less than 10, and the loop was exited. I'll now show you how to perform that exact same functionality with a while loop. This example shows how a while loop can perform the same function that our for loop just executed. We have similar components. We initialize a variable I to equal 0, we check a condition that that variable is less than 10, and then we increment that variable each time. To prove that our while loop program will do the same function, I'll click compile. Still no errors, so I'll run. And you can see that it also prints out the value of I from 0 to 9, where 10 would then cause you to exit the loop. I'll leave you with a word of caution on loops. Beware of the infinite loop. This could be caused by your condition always being true. If the condition never becomes false, the program will never exit the loop, and your loop will go on forever. An example of an infinite loop could be caused by something like this. Assume I remove the counter, or even just move it to outside of the loop. I will never be incremented, so it will always be 0. This means that 0 is always less than 10, and the condition is always true. The loop will never be exited and will continue forever. I hope today's video was helpful for you guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future content. If you have any questions, please comment them below. If you liked loops, stay tuned for videos on for each and do while loops coming up soon. Until next time, guys.